Hari Om, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about meditation. We're covering some of the main points that are useful for beginners and also for people who are a little further along in their practice. First, especially for beginners, and maybe as a reminder to the more experienced people, why would you meditate? Well, if you're looking for greater peace of mind, for enhanced well-being, mental clarity and focus, greater self-knowledge, if you're looking to find harmony within, with others, and with nature, and for some who have that strong spiritual direction, if you're looking for a good highway to enlightenment, liberation from spiritual ignorance, the suffering it brings, then meditation is for you. It's not an exaggeration to say there is no yoga without meditation. Even practicing the postures, the asanas, requires focus of mind. Prayer requires focus. Chanting requires focus. Study requires focus. So meditation is like the kingpin that holds it all together. So the technique of meditation, very simply, is to guide and hold attention to a chosen object. You pick an object that you like and you find that it's uplifting, and you just turn your attention there. And of course, everyone knows who's tried it. The mind usually wanders. It's the nature of the mind. It's a deeply ingrained habit. But just keep returning back to the object of meditation. The idea is not to force the mind back to the object, but to let go of the distracting thought, refocus. And that continual repetition of letting go and refocusing, letting go and refocusing, that's what the bulk of the practice of meditation is like. And little by little, if you're regular with your practice, your mind will wander less and less frequently. So it's a skill. Think of it as a skill, like playing a piano. You wouldn't expect to just sit down and be able to play a very complex classical piece. You first have to learn how to play scales and exercise the hands, the fingers. The same with meditation. It's a skill. Over time, you get better and better and better at it. But one of the things to keep in mind is we shouldn't judge our meditation. Don't try to rate it. It's not a contest. Each meditation just exists on its own separate day, own separate time. You meditate, you have an experience, you get up, get on with your life. This is an attempt not to be aggressive with the mind. We want to be firm and resolute, but not aggressive. So what do you do with these distracting thoughts that come? First, we've already alluded to, you ignore them. It's something like if you're ever in a movie theater and someone who's very tall is sitting in front of you, and their head is blocking the screen a little bit. You have to kind of look over the shoulder of that person to see the screen. In the same way, when you're meditating, when you find that the mind has wandered, don't force the mind back to the object of meditation. Just look over its shoulder. You really don't do anything with it. You just ignore it. But then sometimes there are certain distracting thoughts that are persistent. They won't let go. Then within the meditation itself, you can put yourself on pause and just question. Question your own mind. Why are you coming up with this thought, and why now? Try to find out the reason the mind is insisting on distracting you with a particular thought. With a little bit of effort, you'll find out why. And once you find out why, it'll be more easy to let it go. So, I like to talk mostly about now the proper attitude towards meditation. And this is extremely important. I've already said we want to be firm but not aggressive. For many people, the meditation is like a fist that they use to pound the mind into submission. That image of a fist, a closed hand. Closed hand can't hold anything. It's a fist. It can't hold anything. And with that closed fist, we're trying to pound the mind into submission. We want to make it peaceful by hook or by crook. Well, that alone is going to make the mind more disturbed, distracted, and anxious. What we need instead of a fist is an open hand of loving kindness and support. And it's important to have this attitude. We don't want to think of the distracting thoughts in our meditation sessions as us running across a battlefield trying to elude missiles and minefields. No one's going to stick with the practice when they feel like their own mind is the enemy and the enemy is out to attack them, and we need to attack back. That kind of aggressive attitude really will lead to early failure in meditation for many people. So I like to tell a little story that has to do with one of my cats. About 7 or 8 years ago, we adopted a cat from a shelter. And this particular kitten, we looked around at several places and somehow didn't find just the right match, because we know we're making a big commitment, maybe 20 years or so. So in one of these adoptions, we saw this kitten. And this kitten was a little fellow with a bloated belly. It looked kind of like a Brillo pad, all rough, fur sticking out at odd angles all over. His eyes were weeping this white fluid. He had fleas. Somehow that was the one we chose. We took him home, even thinking he may not survive the night, but at least he would be in a home and he would be loved, even if for one night. Well, he survived the night. And the next day, I was looking at him. We had him in a little box, and I thought to just pick him up. I had him in my palm, and he wasn't much bigger than my palm. He laid in my palm, and then very furiously started to wash himself. You know how cats do that with their paws on their head, and they rub and they lick and they rub. He was doing that movement, but it was frantic. It was quick and frantic, and his eyes were screwed shut. So it occurred to me, he was frightened, and this was a way to comfort himself. We were told that he was found in the back of an abandoned car in hot weather, where all his siblings had died and his mother had died. He was the only one that survived. So he had some significant trauma. And as I held him in my hand and I saw how frantic he was, I thought, what can I do? The only answer that seemed to make any sense was to continue to hold him, look at him, and wait. So I sat and I watched, and I felt such great compassion and love for him. And I sat and I watched, feeling that love and compassion. And after about 15 or 20 minutes, he calmed down and went to sleep. How I treated that kitten was how we treat the mind. The word in Sanskrit for meditation, dhyana, has the root da, D-H-A. Da means to hold, to place and to hold. When you sit for meditation, treat your mind with loving kindness. Bring in the object of meditation and just hold it the way you would hold a sick, frightened kitten. Just watch with compassion, with love, with focus. Your meditations will instantly improve. So that would be, I think, maybe the most important hint. Be regular, do it in that fashion, you will succeed. Thank you very much. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om peace, peace, peace. May the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light.